Captain Eva Rostova stood on the bridge of the UNS Unity, her fingers tracing the cold metal of the command console. Through the panoramic viewport, the starfield stretched before her, a tapestry of light that had haunted her dreams since childhood. She was humanity's first diplomatic ambassador to the Galactic Assembly, a position that carried the weight of 8 billion souls on her shoulders. "Status report," she said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "Approaching Xylas Station, Captain," replied Lieutenant James Mitchell, his eyes never leaving the navigation console. "The Xylar have granted us permission to dock. Xylos Station, orbital home of the Xylar, one of the oldest species in the known galaxy. Their appearance alone had sent shockwaves through Earth when first contact was made. Tall, slender beings with iridescent skin that shifted through colors like oil on water, and large, multifaceted eyes that seemed to see into your very soul. The Xylar had been patient with humanity. They spoke of the younger races with the kind of condescending fondness one might show a precocious child. They called humans the baby species, a term that had rankled diplomats but was, Eva had to admit, accurate in the grand scheme of things. "Commander," said Communications Officer Priya Nair, "we're receiving a transmission from the Xylar delegation." "On screen?" Eva ordered. The familiar figure of Xylaran appeared, a Xylar elder whose skin had settled into a deep purple hue indicating age and wisdom. His multifaceted eyes focused on the camera and Eva suppressed a shudder. "Captain Rostova." Xylaran's voice echoed through the bridge, a strange melodic resonance that never quite translated properly into human language. "We welcome you to Xylos Station. However, we must caution you that your timing is unfortunate." Eva's brow furrowed. "What do you mean, Elder?" "There have been developments," Xylarn continued. "The K'tharr have violated the Treaty of Arcturus. They have annexed 3 systems in the Outer Rim." The bridge crew exchanged worried glances. The K'tharr warlike expansionist with chitinous exoskeletons and mandibles that could tear through steel were the boogeymen of galactic politics. They viewed the Treaty of Arcturus, which had maintained a fragile peace for centuries, as nothing more than a temporary inconvenience. "How does this affect us?" Eva asked, though she already suspected the answer. "The Assembly is convening an emergency session," Zelaben replied. "As humanity's representative, you are expected to attend. But I warn you, Captain, the K'tharr have taken an interest in your species. They see you as either potential allies or resources." The word hung in the air like a death sentence. Resources. In galactic politics that meant one thing: slaves, soldiers, or specimens for their biological experiments. "We'll be there," Eva said firmly. "Unity out." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Eva turned to her crew. "All right, people. You heard the Elder. We're walking into a political minefield. Mitchell, find us a secure docking bay. Nater, I want everything the Xylar have on recent K'tharr movements. Dr. Jane," she said, turning to the ship's science officer, "prepare a briefing on K'tharr biology and psychology. We need to know what we're dealing with." As the crew dispersed to their tasks, Eva retreated to her quarters. The weight of her position pressed down on her shoulders. She was 42 years old, with a distinguished career in Earth's Space Navy, but nothing had prepared her for this, representing all of humanity in a galactic crisis that could determine their very survival. She activated her personal terminal. Pulling up the file on the K'tharr, images of towering insectoid beings filled the screen, their multifaceted eyes gleaming with intelligence and malice. The Xylar intelligence reports were chilling. The K'tharr had conquered and enslaved dozens of younger species, viewing them as nothing more than tools for their expansion. The chime at her door interrupted her thoughts. "Come in." The door slid open to reveal Dr. Kenji Tanaka, the ship's xenocultural specialist. His face was grave. "Captain," he said, taking a seat opposite her, "we need to talk about the K'tharr." "What is it, Kenji?" He leaned forward, lowering his voice. "I've been studying their recent actions. The annexations in the Outer Rim, they're not random. They're strategic." Eva raised an eyebrow. "How so?" "The 3 systems they've taken form a triangle," Kenji explained, pulling up a star chart on his personal datapad. "And Earth is right at the center of that triangle." Eva felt a cold knot form in her stomach. They're surrounding us. Exactly, Kenji nodded. And there's something else. The K'tharr have been studying humanity for decades. They have spies in the assembly, in the trade routes, everywhere. Why would they be interested in us? Eva asked. We're a baby species, as the Akhlashel condescendingly put it. We've barely colonized our own solar system. Kenji's expression grew even more serious. That's what I thought too, but then I found this. He handed her a datapad with a document written in the complex script of the K'tharr language. What is it? A K'tharr internal assessment of humanity, Kenji explained. I had it translated by our Sylar contacts. It's disturbing. Eva began to read, her eyes widening with each paragraph. The K'tharr saw humans not as a primitive species, but as something unique in the galaxy, a species that combined the adaptability of younger races with a capacity for violence and ruthlessness that rivaled even the K'tharr themselves. They call us the sleeping predators, Eva whispered, looking up from the datapad. They're afraid of us. They're not just afraid, Kenji corrected. They're fascinated. They see our history, endless warfare, rapid technological advancement, our ability to survive in extreme conditions, and they think we could be the ultimate weapon if properly harnessed. Eva leaned back in her chair, her mind racing. Or the ultimate threat if we're not. Exactly, Kenji nodded. And the K'tharr don't leave potential threats unchecked. A chime from the ship's intercom interrupted their conversation. Captain, to the bridge. We're approaching Agsilos station. Eva stood, her expression hardening with resolve. Thank you, Kenji. Keep this between us for now. I need to think. As she walked back to the bridge, the implications of what she had learned settled in. The K'tharr weren't just another expansionist empire to be negotiated with. They were specifically targeting humanity because they recognized something in us that even we didn't fully understand. A potential for both greatness and destruction that could shake the foundations of galactic power. The UNS Unity glided through the docking bay of Xylos Station, its hull gleaming under the artificial lights. The station itself was a marvel of alien engineering, organic curves and crystalline structures that seemed to defy conventional physics. Docking complete, Mitchell announced. The Akshalar delegation is waiting for us at the airlock. Eva straightened her uniform, taking a deep breath. All right, team. Remember why we're here. We're not just diplomats anymore. We're fighting for our species' right to exist. Let's show them what humanity is made of. As the airlock hissed open, revealing the delegation of Zikular, waiting on the other side, Eva couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into a trap, one that had been set long before humans ever looked to the stars. Zalarn stood at the center of the delegation, his purple skin shimmering under the station's lighting. Flanking him were two younger Zaklar, their skin shifting between blue and green, a sign of agitation, Eva recalled from her briefings. Captain Rustova. Zulazshir, Yalarn said, his multifaceted eyes fixed on her. Welcome to Zulaz station. We must proceed immediately to the assembly chambers. The situation has escalated. What's happened? Eva asked, her voice tight with tension. The K'tharr have made their move, Zalaran replied. They've presented an ultimatum to the assembly. As they walked through the station's corridors, a maze of organic architecture that seemed to pulse with life, Zidalarn explained the situation. The K'tharr were demanding that all baby species with potential for military development be placed under their protective custody, a euphemism for subjugation that had been used before in galactic history. And humanity is at the top of their list, Eva concluded, her stomach churning. Indeed, Zalarn nodded. Your species' rapid technological advancement, combined with your aggressive history, has made you a priority for the K'tharr. They arrived at the assembly chambers, a vast circular room with representatives from dozens of species, seated in floating pods arranged around a central stage. The atmosphere was electric with tension. As Eva and her team took their seats in the human delegation pod, she couldn't help but feel overwhelmed. The diversity of alien life on display was staggering. Beings of energy, of liquid, of crystalline structures, of forms that defied human understanding, and in the center of it all, the K'tharr delegation stood, towering insectoid figures whose chitinous armor gleamed under the chamber's lights. The assembly was called to order by the presiding council. a collective of the most ancient species in the galaxy, including the Asulur. As the proceedings began, Eva steeled herself for what was to come. The K'tharr ambassador stepped forward, its mandibles clicking as it spoke through a translation device. "Esteemed members of the Assembly," it began, its voice a harsh buzz that sent shivers down Eva's spine. "We come before you today not as conquerors but as guardians of galactic stability." Eva had to suppress a laugh at the irony. The K'tharr, guardians of stability. It was like calling a plague doctor a healer. The recent emergence of younger species into the interstellar community presents a unique threat to the peace that has reigned for millennia. The ambassador continued. Their rapid technological advancement, combined with their primitive instincts for violence and conquest, creates a volatile mixture that could destabilize the entire galaxy. Its multifaceted eyes swept across the assembly, finally coming to rest on the human delegation. Nowhere is this threat more apparent than with the species from the third planet of the Sol system. Human. The word hung in the air, and Eva felt hundreds of alien eyes turn toward her pod. In their brief time among the stars, humans have already demonstrated a worrying capacity for violence. The K'tharr ambassador continued. Their history is a litany of warfare. Their entertainment glorifies conflict, and their biological makeup makes them uniquely suited for combat. Eva's hands clenched into fists. Everything the ambassador said was technically true but twisted into a justification for subjugation. Therefore, the ambassador concluded, the K'tharr Empire formally requests that the Assembly approve our proposal to place humanity under our protective custody for the good of the galaxy. A murmur rippled through the Assembly. Some representatives nodded in agreement, while others shifted uncomfortably in their pods. Ziler Sham rose to speak. While the K'tharr concerns are noted, we must consider that every species has the right to self-determination. To subjugate an entire species based on what they might become sets a dangerous precedent. The precedent has already been set, the K'tharr ambassador retorted. When the Zorloks threatened galactic stability 3 cycles ago, the Assembly authorized their containment. When the Vurin developed weapons of mass destruction, we intervened. Why should humanity be treated differently? Because the Zorloks had already committed acts of aggression, Siblaran countered. The Vurin had actually used their weapons. Humanity has done nothing but explore and seek diplomatic relations. For now, the K'tharr ambassador buzzed. But we have studied their history. We know what they are capable of. We cannot wait until the damage is done. The debate raged for hours, with species taking sides based on their own histories and interests. Eva watched, her heart sinking, as it became clear that the Assembly was leaning toward the K'tharr position. Fear was a powerful motivator, and the K'tharr had expertly stoked fears of human potential. Finally, it was humanity's turn to speak. Eva rose, her knees trembling slightly as she approached the central stage. Hundreds of alien eyes fixed on her, and she took a moment to gather her thoughts. "Esteemed members of the Assembly," she began, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "I stand before you today as a representative of a species that is indeed young in the cosmic sense. We have much to learn, much to grow. But we are not the monsters the K'tharr would have you believe." She paused, looking out at the diverse assembly. "Yes, our history includes warfare. Yes, we have conflicts, but it also includes art, music, literature, science, and philosophy. It includes love, sacrifice, and a relentless drive to understand our place in the universe. Humans have looked to the stars not with conquest in mind, but with wonder. We have reached out not with weapons, but with open hands. We seek not to dominate but to participate in the grand community of intelligent life that fills our galaxy." Eva's voice grew stronger as she continued. "The K'tharr speak of our potential for violence, but they ignore our potential for peace. They speak of our capacity for destruction, but they ignore our capacity for creation. They see us as a threat because they cannot comprehend a species that contains both darkness and light, both violence and compassion, both destruction and creation." She took a step forward, her eyes sweeping across the assembly. "I ask you not to judge humanity by what we might become, but by what we are. A species of explorers, of dreamers, of beings who look up at the night sky and feel not fear but hope. Hoped that we might find our place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as partners in the great cosmic dance of life. Eva finished her speech, her heart pounding. For a moment there was silence in the chamber. Then slowly, some representatives began to applaud, a sound that was alien in its variety, from the clicking of the Ixlar to the resonant hum of the energy beings. But the K'tharr ambassador was not impressed. Beautiful words, Captain Rostova. But words cannot change what humans are at their core. Predators. The assembly voted, and the result was closer than Eva had expected, but still not in their favor. The assembly approved the K'tharr proposal to place humanity under protective custody, with the provision that humans would be given one standard galactic cycle to prepare for the transition. As the assembly adjourned, Eva felt a cold dread settle over her. One cycle, 1 year to prepare for subjugation, or to find another way. Zallarn approached her as she was leaving the chamber. Captain Rostova. A word. Eva turned to face the Axular elder, her expression grim. I suppose you're here to gloat. On the contrary, a Slaughter replied, his skin shifting to a thoughtful shade of blue. I am here to offer an alternative. Eva's eyes narrowed. What kind of alternative? The K'tharr have the assembly convinced that humanity is a threat. Zallarn explained. But there are those of us who believe that your species might be exactly what this galaxy needs. What do you mean? The peace we have enjoyed for millennia has made us complacent. Zallarn admitted. We have forgotten how to fight for what we believe in. We have become stagnant. And you think humanity can change that? I think humanity already is changing that. Zallarn countered. Your presence here has sparked debates that haven't been heard in centuries. Your speech moved members of the assembly who haven't been moved by anything in cycles. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. There is a faction within the assembly that opposes the K'tharr, but we are few. We need an advantage, something that might turn the tide in our favor. What kind of advantage? Eva asked, though she suspected she already knew. Your species has a unique resilience, Zallarn said, a capacity for survival and adaptation that even the K'tharr fear. We believe that if properly directed, this could be the key to preserving not just humanity's freedom, but the freedom of all younger species. Eva's mind raced. You're talking about war. I'm talking about resistance. Zallarn corrected. The K'tharr have grown too powerful, too arrogant. They believe they can do whatever they want without consequence. They need to be reminded that even the mightiest empire can fall, and you want humanity to be the ones to remind them. Zallarn's multifaceted eyes gleamed. I want humanity to be the spark that ignites the fire of resistance. But I cannot ask this of you. The decision must be yours. Eva considered his words carefully. The path of resistance meant war, a war that humanity could not possibly win against the mighty K'tharr Empire. But the alternative was subjugation, the loss of everything that made humanity what it was. We'll need help, Eva said finally. Technology, resources, intelligence. You will have them, Zallarn promised. But you must understand what this means. If you take this path, there is no turning back. The K'tharr will not stop until humanity is either destroyed or completely subjugated. There will be no middle ground. Eva nodded slowly. I understand, but I also understand that some things are worth fighting for, even dying for. As she walked back to her ship, Eva felt the weight of her decision settling upon her. She had just committed humanity to a war it couldn't win, a war against an empire that had conquered dozens of worlds. But as she looked at the faces of her crew, she saw not fear but determination. They understood what was at stake. The UNS Unity undocked from Xylos Station, its engines glowing as it prepared for the journey back to Earth. Eva stood on the bridge, watching as the station receded into the distance. Captain, Mitchell said, breaking the silence. We're receiving a transmission from Earth Command. It's urgent. On screen, Eva ordered. The face of Admiral Harrison appeared, his expression grim. Captain Rostova, we've received reports from our deep space monitoring network. There's been an incident. What kind of incident? Eva asked, her heart sinking. The K'tharr have moved up their timeline, Harrison explained. A fleet has been detected entering the Sol system. They're not waiting a year, they're here now. Eva felt the blood drain from her face. How long until they reach Earth? Estimated time of arrival 12 hours, Harrison replied. They've already taken out our defense platforms in the outer system. We're scrambling everything we have, but he didn't need to finish. Earth's defenses were minimal compared to the might of the K'tharr Empire. They had never needed a strong military, never imagined they would be facing an alien invasion so soon. We're on our way, Eva said, her voice tight with urgency. Maximum warp, Captain Harrison said, his expression softening slightly. Whatever happens, know that you've made humanity proud. You showed them what we're made of up there. Eva nodded, her throat tight with emotion. We're not done yet, Admiral. Not by a long shot. As the Unity accelerated to maximum speed, Eva turned to her crew. You heard the Admiral? The K'tharr are here. They're not waiting for the Assembly's permission. They're coming for us now. She paused, looking at each member of her bridge crew. I won't lie to you. The odds are against us. We're facing an empire that has conquered worlds, but we're humans. We've faced impossible odds before, and we've survived. We've adapted. We've overcome. Her voice grew stronger as she continued. The K'tharr think we're just a baby species. Primitive, weak, easily conquered. They're about to learn that baby humans have teeth. Sharp teeth. And we're not afraid to use them. As the UNS Unity raced toward Earth, toward a battle that would determine the fate of humanity, Eva Rostova felt not fear but a strange sense of clarity. This was it, the moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy, not as subjugated servants of the K'tharr Empire but as a species that would fight for its freedom no matter the cost. The K'tharr had underestimated humanity. They had seen only a young species, still wet with the amniotic fluid of its technological birth. They had failed to see the fire that burned within the human spirit, the unbreakable will to survive, to thrive, to determine its own destiny. And that was their mistake. A mistake they would soon regret. The UNS Unity tore through the fabric of space-time, its engines pushing the boundaries of what human technology had previously achieved. Inside, the crew worked with a desperate urgency, their movements sharp and precise as they prepared for the battle that awaited them. Captain Eva Rostova stood at the center of the bridge, her eyes fixed on the tactical display showing the approaching K'tharr fleet. Hundreds of red icons filled the screen, a terrifying armada advancing on Earth with relentless purpose. Status report, she said, her voice cutting through the tension on the bridge. K'tharr fleet has broken through Jupiter's orbital defenses, Lieutenant Mitchell reported, his fingers flying across his console. They'll reach Earth in approximately 6 hours. Earth Command? Eva asked. Scrambling all available forces, Communications Officer Nair replied. But it's not enough, Captain. We're looking at maybe 50 ships against their fleet of hundreds. Eva's jaw tightened. What about our allies? The K'tharr. No response to our hails, Nair said. It's possible the K'tharr are jamming communications. Or possible that Zalaran had abandoned them, Eva thought but didn't say. The Deathworlder had offered help, but when it came down to it, the Zalaran had their own species to protect. Dr. Zhang, Eva said, turning to the science officer. Any progress on the K'tharr vulnerability analysis? Jiang looked up from her console, her expression grim. We found something, but it's not good news. The K'tharr ships have a unique energy signature, a resonance frequency that, if properly targeted, could theoretically disable their systems. Theoretically? Eva pressed. The technology required to generate and focus such a frequency is beyond anything we currently possess, Jiang explained. But there might be another way. What way? The K'tharr themselves, Jiang said. Their ships generate this frequency as a byproduct of their power systems. If we could capture one of their ships intact, we might be able to reverse engineer the technology. Eva considered this. Capture one of their ships? In the middle of a battle. I know it sounds impossible, Zhang admitted, but it might be our only chance. Before Eva could respond, the ship shuddered violently, throwing crew members across the bridge. Alarms blared as red lights flashed. Report, Eva shouted, gripping the command console to steady herself. We've been hit by some kind of energy weapon, Mitchell yelled over the chaos. Shields down to 40%. Engineering reports damage to the port nacelle. On screen, Eva ordered. The main view screen showed a K'tharr ship sleek and predatory, with a design that seemed both organic and mechanical, closing in for another attack. Evasive maneuvers, Eva commanded. Return fire. All weapons. The Unity banked sharply, its own weapons systems coming to life. Laser beams and plasma torpedoes shot across the void, impacting against the K'tharr ship's shields with little effect. Their shields are too strong, Mitchell reported. Our weapons aren't getting through. Jiang, I need that vulnerability analysis now, Eva said, her voice tight with urgency. Working on it, Jiang replied, her fingers flying across her console. There's a fluctuation in their shield harmonics every 3.7 seconds. If we time our weapons fire to coincide with that fluctuation… Now, Mitchell, fire on her mark. The Unity's weapon systems unleashed another volley. This time timed perfectly with the fluctuation in the K'tharr shields. The energy beams penetrated the defenses, striking the ship's hull and causing a series of explosions. Direct hit, Mitchell exclaimed. They're disabled. Eve allowed herself a brief moment of satisfaction before turning to Zhang. Can you capture that ship? I think so, Zhang replied. But we'll need to send a boarding party. And we'll need to do it fast before their backup arrives. Tanaka, Eva said, turning to the xenocultural specialist. You're with me, we're going aboard that ship. Tanaka's eyes widened. Captain, that's too dangerous. Let me take a security team. No, Eva shook her head. I need your expertise on K'tharr systems. And I need to see this for myself. Mitchell, you have the bridge. Keep us alive while we're gone. As Eva and Tanaka made their way to the shuttle bay, Eva's mind raced with possibilities. Capturing a K'tharr ship was a long shot, but it might be the only chance humanity had to understand their enemy's technology and to find a weakness they could exploit. The shuttle bay was a hive of activity as security teams prepared for the boarding operation. Eva quickly changed into a spacesuit, her movements practiced and efficient despite the urgency of the situation. Captain, Tanaka said, his voice tight with concern through the helmet's comm system. Are you sure about this? If something happens to you… We don't have time for doubts, Kenji, Eva interrupted. Humanity doesn't have time for doubts, we do what we have to do. As they boarded the shuttle, Eva couldn't help but think about how far they had come in such a short time. Just days ago they were diplomats on a peaceful mission to establish relations with the galactic community. Now they were soldiers fighting for their species' very survival. The shuttle launched from the Unity, its engines firing as it navigated through the debris field that already littered the space around Earth. The disabled K'tharr ship loomed ahead, a dark, menacing shape against the backdrop of the planet. Approaching the target, the shuttle pilot reported, scanning for entry points. There, Tanaka said, pointing to a damaged section of the hull. That looks like a service corridor. We should be able to cut through there. The shuttle's cutting laser made quick work of the K'tharr hull, creating an opening just large enough for the boarding party to pass through. Eva led the way, her pulse rifle at the ready as she floated into the alien ship. The interior was dark and eerie, with bioluminescent patches providing dim illumination. The air was thick with a strange, acrid smell that made Eva's eyes water. Life signs, Eva whispered into her comm. Scattered, Tanaka replied, checking his scanner. Most seem to be in critical condition. A few are still active, but they're not moving toward us. Eva nodded, motioning for the team to advance. They moved cautiously through the corridors, their footsteps echoing in the silence. The K'tharr ship was unlike anything Eva had ever seen. Organic curves merged with mechanical components in a way that defied human understanding of engineering. The bridge should be this way, Tanaka said, consulting his scanner. If we can access their main computer… He was cut off by a sudden movement from a side corridor. A K'tharr warrior, larger than the ones they had seen at the assembly, its chitinous armor scarred from countless battles, lunged at them with a guttural roar. Eva reacted instinctively, firing her pulse rifle. The energy beam struck the K'tharr in the chest, but it barely seemed to faze the creature. It continued its advance, its mandibles clicking as it raised its weapon. Fall back, Eva yelled, firing again. Concentrate fire on its joints. The security team unleashed a volley of energy beams, finally bringing the K'tharr down. But the encounter had cost them valuable time and had alerted any other survivors to their presence. "We need to move faster," Eva said, her voice tight with urgency. "The bridge. Now!" They rushed through the corridors, their earlier caution abandoned in favor of speed. The bridge was just ahead when another group of K'tharr warriors appeared around a corner. "Take cover," Eva shouted, diving behind a console as energy beams filled the corridor. The firefight was intense and brief. The K'tharr were formidable warriors, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. When the last one fell, Eva and her team rushed to the bridge. The room was large and circular, with consoles arranged around a central command chair. The view screen showed the ongoing battle outside, a scene of chaos and destruction that made Eva's heart ache. "Tanaka, get into their systems," Eva ordered. "Find anything you can about their technology, their tactics, anything that might help us." As Tanaka worked frantically at one of the consoles, Eva approached the central command chair. A K'tharr officer lay slumped in it, still alive but barely breathing. Its multifaceted eyes focused on Eva, and it raised a trembling appendage. "Why?" it buzzed through its translation device. "Why do you resist? You cannot win." Eva looked down at the dying alien, her expression hardening. "Maybe not. But we'll make you regret ever underestimating us." The K'tharr made a strange clicking sound that might have been a laugh. "You are infants, playing at war. You have no concept of what you've awakened." Before Eva could respond, the K'tharr's eyes went dark. She turned away, her attention returning to the battle outside. "Captain, I've got something," Tanaka called out. "It's not good." Eva rushed to his console. "What is it?" "The K'tharr aren't just here to subjugate us," Tanaka explained, his voice trembling slightly. "Look at this." He pulled up a series of documents and tactical plans. As Eva read, her blood ran cold. The K'tharr weren't planning to place humanity under protective custody. They were planning extermination. "My God," Eva whispered. "They're not here to conquer us. They're here to wipe us out." "But why?" Tanaka asked. "What could we possibly have done to deserve this?" Eva's mind raced back to her conversation with Zalarn, to the K'tharr's internal assessment of humanity that Kenji had shown her. "Because they're afraid of us," she realized. "Not just what we are now, but what we might become." She looked at the tactical plans more closely. "They're not just targeting Earth, they're hitting all of our off-world colonies. Mars, the Moon, Titan. Everywhere humans have set foot. It's genocide," Tanaka said, his voice hollow with shock. "Pure and simple." "We have to warn Earth Command," Eva said, reaching for her comm. "They need to know what they're really facing." But as she tried to make contact, she realized that communications were still being jammed. The only way to get this information back to Earth was to return to the Unity themselves. "Let's move," Eva ordered. "We have what we came for. Let's get back to the ship." As they made their way back through the K'tharr vessel, Eva's mind raced with the implications of what they had discovered. This wasn't a war for subjugation, it was a war for survival. The K'tharr saw humanity as a threat to their dominance of the galaxy, and they were determined to eliminate that threat before it could fully develop. The shuttle ride back to the Unity was tense and silent. Each member of the boarding party was lost in their own thoughts, grappling with the horrifying reality of their situation. When they finally docked with the Unity, Eva rushed to the bridge. "Mitchell, report," she said, her voice urgent. "The K'tharr fleet has broken through the lunar defenses," Mitchell replied, his expression grim. "They'll be in Earth orbit in less than 2 hours. Earth Command?" Still no response, Nair said. "Communications are still being jammed." Eva took a deep breath. "I have information that changes everything. The K'tharr aren't here to subjugate us. They're here to exterminate us." A shocked silence fell over the bridge. "What?" Mitchell finally asked, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Why would they do that? We haven't done anything to them." "Because they're afraid of us," Eva explained. "Afraid of what we might become if given the chance." She quickly summarized what they had discovered on the K'tharr ship, the plans for total annihilation of human presence in the solar system. "If we don't stop them here, at Earth, there's nowhere left to run," Eva concluded. "This is it. the final battle for humanity's survival. As the Unity joined the remaining Earth forces in a desperate last stand against the K'tharr fleet, Eva felt a strange sense of clarity. All the politics, all the diplomacy, all the attempts to find a peaceful solution, they were all behind them now. There was only the battle ahead, the fight for survival. Zhang, any progress on that vulnerability analysis? Eva asked. Working on it, Zhang replied. The data from the K'tharr ship helps, but I need more time. Time is something we don't have, Eva said grimly. The K'tharr fleet will be in range in 30 minutes. As if on cue, the ship shuddered under the impact of enemy fire. Shields at 20%, Mitchell reported. We can't take much more of this. Eva looked at the tactical display, her mind racing. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and running out of time. But they had one advantage. The K'tharr still underestimated them, still saw them as a primitive species, incapable of sophisticated strategy. Mitchell, I have an idea, Eva said. It's risky, but it might be our only chance. I'm listening, Captain. We need to draw their flagship into range, Eva explained. If we can capture it, we might be able to turn the tide of this battle. Capture their flagship? Mitchell asked incredulously. With what? We barely have enough functioning ships to mount a defense, let alone an offensive operation. We don't need to capture it with force, Eva replied. We need to capture it with cunning. She quickly outlined her plan, a daring, almost suicidal maneuver that would require precise timing and coordination from every remaining ship in the Earth fleet. It's crazy, Mitchell said when she finished. It'll never work. It's our only shot, Eva countered. Get the word out to the other ships. We execute in 15 minutes. As Mitchell relayed the plan to the rest of the fleet, Eva turned to Zhang. I need that vulnerability analysis now, Doctor. Whatever you've got. Zhang nodded, her fingers flying across her console. I think I have something. The K'tharr ships have a central processing core that coordinates all their systems. If we can disable that core, the entire ship goes dead, Eva finished. How do we get to it? That's the problem, Zhang admitted. It's heavily shielded, located deep inside the ship. We'd need to get inside their flagship to reach it. Eva nodded slowly. That's exactly what I'm planning. The bridge fell silent as the crew realized what their captain was proposing. The boarding operation on the K'tharr flagship in the middle of a battle was nothing short of suicide. Captain, Tanaka said, stepping forward, let me lead the boarding party. You're needed here. No, Eva shook her head. This is my responsibility. I started this diplomatic mission, and I'll see it through, one way or another. She looked around the bridge, at the faces of her crew, determined, scared, but resolute. Whatever happens, know that you've all made humanity proud. We've shown the galaxy that humans don't go quietly into the night. We fight, we resist, we survive. As the Unity moved into position for the daring maneuver, Eva felt a strange sense of peace. She had done everything she could to prepare humanity for this moment. Now all that was left was the battle. The K'tharr flagship loomed ahead, a massive vessel that dwarfed even the largest Earth ships. Its weapon systems were already targeting the Unity, preparing to deliver what should have been the final blow. Now, Eva commanded. The Unity and the remaining Earth ships executed their maneuver perfectly, a coordinated feint that drew the K'tharr flagship's attention away from their true objective. As the K'tharr flagship moved to pursue what it thought was the main Earth force, it left itself vulnerable to the boarding operation. Shuttle away, Eva reported as she and her team launched from the Unity, heading straight for the K'tharr flagship. The shuttle flew through the chaos of the battle, dodging enemy fire and debris as it approached its target. Eva's heart pounded in her chest as she watched the distance between them and the K'tharr flagship shrink. Approaching the hull, the pilot reported. Cutting through now. The shuttle's cutting laser made quick work of the K'tharr hull, creating an opening that led directly into the ship's main corridor. Eva led the way, her pulse rifle at the ready as she entered the alien vessel. The interior of the flagship was even more imposing than the smaller ship they had boarded earlier. The corridors were wider, the ceilings higher, and the air was thick with the smell of ozone and something else, something that Eva recognized as the scent of power. The processing core should be this way, Tanaka said, consulting his scanner. But the life signs readings are off. What do you mean? Eva asked. There are too many of them, Tanaka replied. And they're all converging on our position. Eva's eyes narrowed. It's a trap. As if on cue, the corridor ahead filled with K'tharr warriors, more than Eva had ever seen in one place. Their chitinous armor gleamed under the ship's artificial lighting, and their multifaceted eyes fixed on the boarding party with cold intelligence. Fall back, Eva yelled, but it was too late. They were surrounded. The K'tharr warriors advanced, their weapons raised. Eva and her team took cover behind whatever they could find, returning fire with desperate intensity. But they were hopelessly outnumbered, and the K'tharr weapons were far superior to their own. Just as Eva was about to order a retreat, a strange energy field enveloped the corridor, disabling all their weapons. Your resistance is impressive, a voice buzzed through the ship's comm system, but ultimately futile. Eva looked up to see a K'tharr figure approaching, larger and more ornately decorated than any she had seen before. This was no warrior. This was someone important. Captain Eva Rostova of the UNS Unity, the K'tharr continued. We have been waiting for you. Eva's mind raced as she tried to understand what was happening. This wasn't just a random encounter. This was planned. Who are you? Eva asked, her voice steady despite the fear that gripped her. I am K'tharr, Supreme Commander of the K'tharr Fleet, the alien replied. And I am here to offer you a choice. A choice, Eva scoffed. You're here to exterminate us. What choice is there? Ah, but extermination is only the backup plan, K'tharr explained. Our first preference is cooperation. Eva's eyes narrowed. Cooperation? After what you've done to our colonies? After the fleet you've sent to destroy Earth? Collateral damage in a larger conflict, K'tharr replied dismissively. You see, Captain Rostova, humanity is not the first species we've encountered with your potential, and we have learned that such species can be either the greatest threat or the greatest asset, depending on how they are managed. He paused, his multifaceted eyes studying Eva carefully. We are offering humanity a place in our empire, not as subjugated servants but as partners, as equal. Eva couldn't believe what she was hearing. Equals? After trying to wipe us out? A test, K'tharr explained. We needed to see if humanity had the will to survive the fire that makes a species worthy of partnership. And you have not disappointed. Eva's mind reeled with the implications of what K'tharr was saying. The entire invasion, no, extermination had been a test, a twisted way of determining humanity's worthiness. Why? Eva asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Why go to such extremes? Because the galaxy is a dangerous place, Captain Rostova, K'tharr replied. There are threats out there that make the K'tharr Empire look like infants. Threats that could extinguish all life in this sector of the galaxy. He leaned closer, his voice lowering to a conspiratorial buzz. We are building an alliance, not of conquest but of survival. An alliance of the strongest, most resilient species in the galaxy, united against a common enemy that seeks to destroy us all. Eva considered his words, her mind racing with possibilities and suspicions. Could this be true, or was it just another manipulation, another way to subjugate humanity under the guise of partnership? What enemy? Eva asked. What could be so threatening that the mighty K'tharr Empire would need allies? K'tharr's multifaceted eyes gleamed with an emotion that Eva couldn't quite identify. Fear, perhaps, or urgency. We call them the Silence, K'tharr replied, because that is what they bring. The extinction of all sound, all thought, all life. They consume entire star systems, leaving nothing but void in their wake. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. They are coming to this galaxy, and we must be ready to face them. Together. Eva looked at her team, at their faces etched with confusion and disbelief. This was a revelation that changed everything they thought they knew about the galactic community. The K'tharr weren't just conquerors. They were survivors, preparing for a threat so devastating that it made their own conquest seem trivial. How do we know you're telling the truth? Eva asked. How do we know this isn't just another trick? K'tharr made a clicking sound that might have been a sigh. You don't. You must take it on faith. The same faith we are taking in humanity's potential. He gestured to one of his warriors, who approached with a strange device. This contains all the information we have on the Silence, their movements, their capabilities, their history. Study it. Decide for yourself. The warrior handed the device to Eva, who took it cautiously. And if we decide to join you, what then? Then humanity becomes a partner in our alliance, K'tharr replied. You will have access to our technology, our resources, our knowledge. You will be equals in the fight against the Silence. And if we refuse, K'tharr's multifaceted eyes gleamed coldly. Then the extermination proceeds. We cannot allow a species with your potential to remain unaligned when the Silence arrives. You will either be with us, or you will be. Eva looked at the device in her hand, then back at K'tharr. This was the choice humanity had been given. Join the K'tharr as partners in a war against an unimaginable threat or face certain extinction. I need to consult with my people, Eva said finally. Of course, K'tharr nodded. You have one standard hour. The choice, Captain Rostova, is yours and yours alone. As Eva and her team were escorted back to their shuttle, she couldn't help but feel that they were caught between two impossible choices. Join forces with the beings who had just tried to exterminate them, or face certain destruction at their hands. But as the shuttle made its way back to the Unity, Eva realized that there might be a third option, one that neither the K'tharr nor humanity had considered. An option that could change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The shuttle docked with the Unity, its hatch opening with a hiss that seemed to echo the tension in Eva's mind. She stepped onto the bridge, the device from K'tharr clutched in her hand like a ticking time bomb. Report? She said, her voice cutting through the controlled chaos of the battle. Mitchell looked up from his console, his expression grim. The K'tharr have ceased hostilities. They're holding position just outside Earth's orbit. A ceasefire? Eva asked, surprised. Why? They're waiting for your decision, Captain. Nair added. K'tharr sent a message. 1 hour, as promised. Eva nodded slowly, her mind racing with possibilities. The K'tharr were giving humanity time to decide its fate. A decision that would determine not just their own future but potentially the future of the entire galaxy. Zhang, I need you to analyze this device, Eva said, handing it to the science officer. I want to know everything about it, where it came from, what it contains, whether it's telling the truth. On it, Zhang replied, her eyes already scanning the device with a handheld analyzer. Eva turned to the main view screen, where Earth hung like a blue marble against the blackness of space. Somewhere down there, 8 billion people were going about their lives, unaware that their entire future rested on a decision she would make in the next hour. Captain Tanaka said, approaching her cautiously. What are you thinking? Eva sighed, running a hand through her hair. I'm thinking that we're caught between two impossible choices. Join the K'tharr, the beings who just tried to exterminate us, or face certain destruction. There must be another way, Tanaka insisted. Humanity has always found a third option when backed against the wall. Eva looked at him, a spark of an idea forming in her mind. What if we don't have to choose? What if we can create our own path? Before she could elaborate, Zhang called out from her console. Captain, you need to see this. Eva and Tanaka rushed to Zhang's station, where the science officer had pulled up the contents of the device on the main screen. What they saw made their blood run cold. Images of star systems once vibrant and teeming with life now reduced to nothingness. Not destroyed, not conquered, but erased, as if they had never existed. My God, Tanaka whispered. The Silence. It's worse than K'tharr described, as Sang said, her voice trembling slightly. According to these records, the Silence doesn't just consume life, it consumes reality itself. They don't just destroy star systems, they erase them from existence. Eva stared at the screen, her mind struggling to comprehend the scale of the threat. The K'tharr weren't just preparing for an invasion, they were preparing for the end of everything. How long have the K'tharr known about this? Eva asked. According to the timeline, they've been tracking the Silence movements for over 1,000 of their years, Chang replied. They've been building their empire not just for conquest but as a bulwark against this threat. Eva's mind raced with the implications. Everything they thought they knew about the K'tharr, about their motivations, their goals, was wrong. They weren't just conquerors, they were survivors, preparing for a threat so devastating that it made their own conquest seem trivial. And humanity? Eva asked. Why us? Because we're different, Zhang explained, pulling up another section of the data. Most species, when faced with the reality of the silence, either despair or surrender. But humans, according to the K'tharr's analysis, humans have a unique capacity for hope in the face of impossible odds, a refusal to accept defeat even when all seems lost. Eva thought about humanity's history, endless warfare, repeated near extinctions, and yet always the drive to continue, to rebuild, to survive. The K'tharr hadn't seen weakness in humanity's violent history. They had seen strength. Captain, Mitchell interrupted, Earth Command is hailing us. They've managed to break through the K'tharr jamming. On screen, Eva ordered. The face of Admiral Harrison appeared, his expression a mixture of relief and confusion. Captain Rostova, what in God's name is going on out there? 1 minute we're fighting for our lives, the next the K'tharr just stop. It's complicated, Admiral, Eva replied. I need to brief you on a situation that changes everything we thought we knew about our place in the galaxy. As Eva quickly summarized what she had learned from the K'tharr's true motivations to the existential threat of the silence, she could see the disbelief dawning on Harrison's face. So you're telling me that the beings who just tried to wipe us out are actually our potential saviors? Harrison asked, when she finished. I know it sounds crazy, Admiral, Eva admitted, but the evidence is compelling, and we have 1 hour to decide humanity's fate. Harrison was silent for a moment, considering her words. What's your recommendation, Captain? Eva took a deep breath. I think we need to explore a third option. Neither subjugation nor destruction, but something new. What do you have in mind? Before Eva could respond, an alarm blared on the bridge. Report, Eva commanded. Multiple ships dropping out of warp, Mitchell yelled. They're not K'tharr. I've never seen designs like these before. Eva rushed to the view screen, where a fleet of ships unlike anything she had ever seen was appearing. They were sleek and elegant, with designs that seemed to defy the laws of physics, and they were moving toward Earth with a purpose that sent a chill down Eva's spine. Hail them, Eva ordered. No response, Nar replied. They're not answering our hails. Are they hostile? Eva asked. I don't know, Mitchell admitted. Their energy signatures are strange. Not like anything I've encountered before. As the mysterious fleet approached, one of the ships broke formation and headed directly for the Unity. Eva watched, her hand hovering near the ship's defense controls, as the alien vessel grew closer on the view screen. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the lead ship, Nar said. It's audio only. On audio, Eva ordered. A voice filled the bridge, unlike any alien voice Eva had ever heard. It was neither harsh nor melodic, but empty, a void where sound should have been. Captain Eva Rostova of the UNS Unity, the voice said. We have been watching you. We have been waiting. Eva's blood ran cold. Who are you? We are the future, the voice replied. We are what comes after. We are the silence. Eva felt a chill that had nothing to do with the ship's temperature. The silence wasn't just a threat, it was here. Now, you've come to destroy us, Eva said, her voice steady despite the fear that gripped her. Destruction is such a finite concept, the voice replied. We offer something more. We offer transcendence, the opportunity to become part of something greater than yourself. What are you talking about? The voice seemed to smile, though Eva couldn't imagine how. We offer you the chance to escape the limitations of physical existence, to join us in a state of pure consciousness, free from the constraints of matter, time, and space. Eva's mind raced. You're not destroying star systems, you're absorbing them. Absorbing, ascending, transcending. The words are inadequate, the voice explained. We offer the ultimate evolution, the chance to become one with the universe itself. Eva looked at her crew, at their faces etched with confusion and fear. This was a choice beyond anything they had ever imagined, not between life and death, but between existence and transcendence. And if we refuse? Eva asked. Refusal is irrelevant, the voice replied. All paths lead to us. All consciousness eventually merges with the whole. We are simply accelerating the process. Eva's eyes narrowed. You're not giving us a choice. You're conquering us under the guise of enlightenment. Conquest is such a primitive concept, the voice said dismissively. We are liberating you from the prison of individuality, from the suffering of separation, from the fear of death. Eva thought about humanity, about art, about love, about joy and sorrow, about the very things that made them human. To lose all of that in the name of transcendence, it wasn't liberation, it was annihilation. We choose to remain ourselves, Eva said firmly. We choose to remain human. A choice born of ignorance, the voice replied, a hint of what might have been pity in its tone. But you will learn, all beings learn eventually. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Captain, Mitchell said finally, the K'tharr are hailing us. They're asking what's happening. On screen, Eva ordered. K'tharr's face appeared, his multifaceted eyes wide with what Eva now recognized as fear. Captain Rostova, what is the meaning of this? Who are these beings? They call themselves the Silence, Eva replied. And they're here for us all. K'tharr was silent for a moment, processing this information. So soon, we weren't prepared. We thought we had more time. No one is ever prepared for the end, Eva said grimly. But we don't have to face it alone. K'tharr's multifaceted eyes focused on Eva. What are you suggesting, Captain? An alliance, Eva replied. Not as conqueror and conquered, not as superior and inferior, but as equals, united against a common threat. K'tharr considered her words, his expression unreadable. And why should we trust you? Humans are primitive, violent, and resilient, Eva interrupted. Adaptable, creative. We've faced extinction before and survived. We might be exactly what you need in this fight. Before K'tharr could respond, the ship shuddered under the impact of an energy blast. Report, Eva yelled. The Silence is firing on us. Mitchell reported. Shields at 70%. And they're firing on the K'tharr fleet too, Nair added. They're not discriminating. Eva looked at the view screen, where the battle had begun anew. The Silence ships moved with an eerie grace, their weapons systems unlike anything Eva had ever seen. They didn't destroy, they unmade. Ships hit by their fire didn't explode, they simply ceased to exist. We don't stand a chance against them, Zhang said, her voice tight with fear. Their technology is beyond anything we can comprehend. Then we'll have to be smarter, Eva replied, her mind racing. Mitchell, coordinate with the K'tharr fleet. I want to see if we can combine our tactical systems. Already working on it, Mitchell replied. But it's not going to be easy. Our systems aren't compatible. Then make them compatible, Eva ordered. We don't have time for technical difficulties. As the battle raged outside, Eva turned to Tanaka. Kenji, I need you to find a weakness. Anything. These beings might seem omnipotent, but everything has a vulnerability. Tanaka nodded, already pulling up sensor data on the Silence ships. I'll do my best, Captain. But this is like trying to find a weakness in Silence itself. Eva nodded, then turned back to the view screen. The battle was not going well. Both human and K'tharr ships were being erased from existence with terrifying efficiency. They needed a miracle or a plan. Captain, Zhang called out. I've got something. The Silence ships. They're generating a massive energy field, but it's not for propulsion or weapons. It's for communication. Communication with what? Eva asked. With each other, Zhang explained. And with something else, outside our dimension. Eva's eyes widened. They're not just ships, they're nodes in a network. A consciousness distributed across multiple dimensions. Exactly, Zhang nodded. And that might be their weakness. If we can disrupt their connection to each other to the larger consciousness, we might be able to break them apart. Eva finished. But how do we disrupt the multidimensional consciousness? I don't know, Zhang admitted. But I think the K'tharr might have the technology we need. Their energy weapons operate on frequencies that could theoretically interfere with the Silence's network. Eva turned to the comm panel. K'tharr, I need your help. The K'tharr commander's face appeared on the screen, his expression grim. We are sustaining heavy losses, Captain. What do you need? Your technology, Eva replied. Specifically, your energy weapons. We think we found a weakness in the Silence's network, but we need your help to exploit it. K'tharr was silent for a moment, considering her request. You are asking us to share our most advanced military technology with a species we were planning to exterminate less than an hour ago. I'm asking you to help save us both, Eva countered. The Silence doesn't care about our differences. To them we're all just obstacles. Another blast rocked the ship, more violent than the others. Shields at 20%, Mitchell reported. We can't take much more of this. K'tharr's multifaceted eyes focused on Eva. Very well, Captain. We will share what we can, but I warn you, even with our combined technology, the odds of success are minimal. Minimal is better than none, Eva replied. Transmit the schematics. We'll work on integrating them with our systems. As the technical data began to flow from the K'tharr ships to the Unity, Eva turned to her engineering team. I need you to work miracles, people. Find a way to combine our technology with the K'tharr's. Our survival depends on it. The engineers nodded, their expressions a mixture of fear and determination. They were being asked to do the impossible in impossible circumstances. But then again, that was what humans did best. Captain, Tanaka called out, I've been analyzing the Silence's attack patterns. There's a rhythm to them. A pattern that repeats every 3.7 seconds. Eva's eyes widened. The same frequency as the K'tharr shield fluctuation. Exactly, Tanaka nodded. It can't be a coincidence. The Silence and the K'tharr must have some kind of connection, some shared origin or technology. Eva's mind raced with the implications. If that's true, then the K'tharr might know more about the Silence than they're letting on. Before she could pursue this line of thought, Xiang called out from her console. Captain, I think I have it. A way to disrupt the Silence network. What is it? Eva asked, rushing to her station. The K'tharr energy weapons, combined with our shield harmonics, Zhang explained. If we can create a resonant feedback loop at the precise frequency of the Silence's network, we could bring their entire consciousness crashing down, Eva finished. But how do we target all of them at once? We don't, Zhang replied. We target their central node, the ship that's coordinating the entire network. Eva looked at the tactical display, where hundreds of Silent ships moved in eerie coordination. Which one is the central node? That's the problem, Zhang admitted. They're all identical. There's no way to tell which one is in command. Then we'll have to hit them all at once, Eva decided. Mitchell, can you coordinate a simultaneous strike from all remaining ships? It'll be tight, Mitchell replied. But I think I can make it work. Do it, Eva ordered. Zhang, I need you to modify our weapons systems to generate the resonant frequency. Tanaka, I need you to time the strike to coincide with the Silence's network cycle. As her team rushed to implement the plan, Eva turned to the viewscreen, where the battle raged with terrifying intensity. They were running out of time, out of ships, out of options. This was their last, best chance. Captain, K'tharr's voice came over the comm. We are ready. What is your plan? Eva quickly outlined her strategy, a coordinated strike targeting all Silence ships simultaneously, with weapons modified to disrupt their network connection. It's audacious, K'tharr admitted. The probability of success is low, but the probability of survival if we do nothing is zero, Eva countered. Are you with us? K'tharr was silent for a moment. The K'tharr Empire has faced many threats in its long history, but never one like this. Yes, Captain Rostova, we are with you. As the combined human K'tharr fleet moved into position for the daring strike, Eva felt a strange sense of clarity. This was it, the moment that would determine not just humanity's fate, but the fate of all life in the galaxy, and they would face it together. Former enemies united against a common threat. All ships report ready status, Eva commanded. One by one the remaining ships confirmed their readiness. There were far fewer than when the battle began. Both human and K'tharr forces had sustained heavy losses, but those that remained were determined, resolute. "Zhang, is the resonant frequency ready?" Eva asked. "Ready, Captain," Zhang replied. "But I have to warn you, generating this frequency will overload our weapons systems. We'll only get one shot." "One shot is all we need," Eva said firmly. "Tanaka, what's the timing?" 30 seconds to optimal strike window, Tanaka reported. "The silence network will be at its most vulnerable then." Eva took a deep breath, her eyes fixed on the view screen. "All ships on my mark. 20, 15. As she counted down, the bridge was silent save for the beeping of consoles and the distant rumble of battle. Each second stretched into an eternity, each heartbeat a drumbeat of anticipation. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark. At her command, the combined fleet unleashed their weapons. A coordinated volley of energy beams modified to generate the resonant frequency that would disrupt the silence network. For a moment nothing happened, then a strange sound filled the bridge. A harmony of frequencies that seemed to vibrate through the very fabric of the ship. On the view screen, the silent ships began to flicker. Their solid forms wavered, becoming transparent, then solid again. A collective gasp filled the bridge as the realization dawned. It was working. "It's working!" Zhang exclaimed. "The network is collapsing." As if in response to her words, the silent ships began to break apart, not with explosions, but with a strange, silent dissolution. One by one they faded from existence, like images on a screen being turned off. But as the last silence ship disappeared, a strange energy wave pulsed outward from where the fleet had been. It washed over the Unity, causing the ship to shudder violently. "Report," Eva yelled, gripping the command console to steady herself. "It's some kind of feedback from the collapsing network," Mitchell explained. "It's overloading our systems." Alarms blared as red lights flashed across the bridge. The ship groaned under the strain, its systems failing one by one. "We're losing life support," Nair yelled. "Integrity is compromised." Eva looked at the view screen, where Earth hung like a blue marble against the blackness of space. They had won, they had saved humanity from the silence. But it seemed they wouldn't live to see the victory. "All hands," Eva said into the ship-wide comm, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. "This is Captain Rostova. We have succeeded in defeating the silence. Earth is safe. Humanity will survive." She paused, looking around the bridge at her crew, at their faces etched with fear but also with pride. "It has been an honor to serve with you, to serve humanity. Whatever happens next, know that you made a difference. You saved us all." As the ship's systems continued to fail, Eva felt a strange sense of peace. They had done what they set out to do, what no one thought they could do. They had faced an impossible threat and triumphed, not through superior technology or numbers, but through cooperation, creativity, and the unbreakable human spirit. The bridge was plunged into darkness as the last of the ship's systems failed. In the silence that followed, Eva thought about humanity's journey from a single planet on the edge of the galaxy to a species that had faced the ultimate threat and survived. The K'tharr had called them a baby species, infants in the cosmic sense. But babies grow up, and humanity had just come of age in the most dramatic way possible. As consciousness began to fade, Eva's last thought was of Earth, of the billions of humans who would wake up tomorrow to a new day, a new future, all because of the sacrifice of a few. It was, she decided, a trade worth making. In the vast expanse of the cosmos, where ancient civilizations had risen and fallen like cosmic tides, humanity had faced its greatest test and emerged not just intact, but transformed. The baby species had grown up, and in doing so had changed the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The UNS Unity was lost, along with its brave crew, but their sacrifice had not been in vain. Earth was safe, humanity was free, and the galaxy had learned a valuable lesson: never underestimate a species with teeth, even if those teeth were still developing. In the aftermath of the battle, a new alliance was forged. Not between conqueror and conquered, but between equals. Humans and K'tharr, once enemies, now partners in a galaxy forever changed by the threat they had faced together. And somewhere in the depths of space, other species watched and waited. They had seen what humanity was capable of, what a baby species could do when backed against the wall, and they wondered what other surprises this young, resilient species might have in store for the future. The human problem, it turned out, was just beginning.